This video covers the IGCSE Biology Objective 8.4.2b on the 2025 CAIE syllabus to describe sinks in translocation. So what is a sink? A sink is the delivery point of the phloem. This could be the roots, it could be seeds, it could be fruit, growing shoots, forming flowers. There are various sinks depending on the needs of the plant at a particular time. And in the next video, we'll talk about what some of those needs could be. So companion cells unload the phloem via active transport. So let's not forget the phloem sap has moved to the location. Those molecules are going to be pumped into companion cells and then into the sink location, in this case, a root cell. What this is going to do is it's going to increase the water potential gradient in the phloem, and therefore water is going to move back into the xylem via osmosis. So the water movement is all by osmosis due to potential gradient. So again, let's not forget, in the root, in the stem, and in the leaf, those tubes, the xylem and the phloem tubes, are next to each other for this reason, so that the potential gradient can be affected. Therefore, water pressure at the sink is always going to be low. Remember, the water pressure is due to the water moving in. So if water is moving out at a sink, then the water pressure is going to be low. So the phloem sap is always going to move towards the area of low pressure. That is the whole point of positive pressure, and that's why the movement of the phloem is due to positive pressure of water. So what is going to happen at a sink? Well, really, there's two things that can happen. We can have what's happening on the left, where we have the sieve tube, that is the phloem tube. Molecules are going to be pumped into the companion cell, and then they'll be pumped into a sink, which, let's say, for example, is a fruit. And then these molecules are going to be converted into glucose and then into ATP in order for something to happen. So they would be used in respiration. Or we could have what's happening on the right-hand side. We have the phloem tube, the molecules are pumped into the companion cell, pumped into the sink, and then they're going to be stored in a root, for example, and they would be stored as starch molecules. So let's take a look at some storage sinks. We have looked at this before when we were talking about root structure, I believe, but we have looked at this picture before. So we have bulbs, that is things like onions, for example, where the sink is going to be the modified leaves of the plant, and that is where the carbohydrates will be stored. We have storage roots, as in carrots, so the carbohydrate will be stored in the root, so that will be the sink of that particular plant. And then we have tubers, which are modified stems. So these are underground stems, which then will become the sink for a potato plant, for example. And then we have metabolic sinks. So what are some examples of the metabolic sinks? These are the structures that you see here. So for example, fruit would be a metabolic sink because you need that material that is being transported to create the fruit. You have seeds and nuts that are going to store oils, for example, and so that would be needed for to create that structure. If we have new shoots growing, we need that glucose to be used in respiration for the growth of the plant or for the formation of a flower. So all of these structures are sinks, depending on the needs of the plant at a particular time, but these would be metabolic sinks.